was Thanksgiving break, guys?
Well, just splendid.
Did you just say just splendid?
Yeah.
That was quite appropriate, quite almost British sounding. I guess I'll take it. I guess I'll take it. Was it legitimately splendid, or was it just, are you just saying that for kicks and giggles?
No, it actually was.
Nice, nice. You guys do anything fun?
Oh, wow. Had turkey bowl.
Oh, nice. So neighbor or family turkey bowl, living it up.
Yeah.
Welcome, I would say back, but welcome first, I guess, to the class. So, Lindsay, we have you right, you can sit in either one of these two chairs right here, okay? That's where the draft, if you will, we had seats and students chose, and I thought we could split it up that way. So, Lindsay, we have you there. All right, yes. Let's see, again, welcome back, but welcome to the class, I suppose. Dexter? No. Okay, Dexter, we've got you. See this correctly? Just to the right of Nolan. So Nolan, if you want to raise your hand, good sir. You're just to the right of him, right there. Yep. Yep. All right. So, Dexter and Lindsay, we'll see if anybody else who's in the limbo status comes back to us. We should have your lovely, now, let me see, some of you may have turned it in on Canvas, which is okay, the disclosure. So, Lindsay, you got that? Good. And Dexter, did you turn it on Canvas?
My canvas is being really weird.
Okay.
Completely empty, and then the summary is like some kind of Latin or something.
Okay, so that weird Latin template thing, regardless. So do this for me. So I've got, it should be, you can check on it today and see. It should be accurate. Sorry if it was acting funny for you.
Yeah, it was just.
So here's the disclosure, right? And just get this paper copy, or rather, you get this top, just hold on to it, and return this bottom sheet to me tomorrow, okay? That sounds good. And we'll see if anybody else who hasn't been here does that. But Lindsay and Dexter, you guys should have, well, I guess actually you don't. The notes, we're able to print them off from, that's okay. I'm just trying to see where you're at. The assignments, how about that?
Is it group one?
Yes. Okay, all right. Just seeing what copies do I need to get to you. Let's do this.
No, but the class is
All right, so here is the travel agency assignment, all right? And Dexter, here you go too. This is the assignment due on the 9th. Now for Lindsay and Dexter, you guys, you just turn it in. You'll see you've got like 4 options there. Just choose one of them. You're just in a solo group, if that makes sense, right? You don't have to do all 4. Just choose one of them, right? And then turn it in on the 9th. Does that sound like a good plan? Okay. So there's that. Okay. And then notes. I'm trying to do a little catch up here for Dexter and Lindsay. If you guys don't have the notes in paper here are the notes. Right, so guided notes there. Paper Nigeria. And Dexter, here's this as well. And all these things are on Canvas in case you guys lost any copies or whatever. Let me see as I'm playing catch up. Anybody here today who hasn't been in the class? I know a couple were gone on Tuesday and such for different activities, so I think we're looking okay. All right. Okay. With that said, I was looking through my papers and I realized one thing that may not have been, I can't remember for this class. Maybe Giselle helped pass this on. I can't remember. This lovely Nigeria 1 sheet, this lovely cheat sheet, if you will, of bullet points for West Africa. Did you guys get this sheet? No. Okay. I couldn't remember if one of the classes did or not. All right, so since I already mentioned Giselle's name, I guess I'll force her to do this anyway. Hey! Welcome back. You mind making sure everybody gets a copy? Just one sheet. All right. So with some of those housekeeping items out of the way, make sure I'm not forgetting anything here. Okay. With some of those housekeeping items out of the way, I am curious, Tanner, good to see you, how everybody's break was. Walker said it was splendid, right? That was the adjective. Splendid, because Turkey Bowl, you got 8 broken ribs playing Turkey Bowl with your neighbors. No. No. But you were saying you had a good time because Turkey Bowl. That was just family, or was it nice? Nice. No injuries, no running into a random flagpole, or good. Okay. All right. Anything else for break? You guys had, your lovely Thanksgiving break. Some of you had a little bit longer, right? You guys were gone Tuesday as well. Anything fun, exciting, interesting? As Tucker is staring out into random space. And Tucker, we do have you, actually, if I'm doing my math correctly here, by Thomas right there, and Spencer sits there. And that's okay, I know some of you were gone, we did like our lovely draft. He was so excited about his break, he was spacing out. What'd you do?
I went to Florida.
Nice. Now, going there, was it like, hey, it's warmer, right?
Yeah.
Was it as active, less active, in terms of out and about?
It was probably the same.
Probably the same, yeah. Yeah.
Definitely different.
Yeah. But just warmer, right? You feel a little more warmth, nice. Hopefully a planned family thing or something.
Yeah.
Nice, good. Anything else? Yeah, Tim?
I went snowmobiling yesterday and the day before we finished working on set, so we couldn't go snow.
Okay, so you got that work done. Thank you very much, Giselle. So that you could go snowmobiling.
Yeah.
All right.
The day before yesterday, we worked on sleds.
So,
We went out yesterday.
and pardon my ignorance, sleds are referring to like the actual.
Snowmobiles, motorized
Got
tracks.
it. Right.
skis.
That makes sense. Okay. As opposed to like the.
Yeah,
I think of like
the bombs.
little. Yeah. Okay. Now, as I ask that, I'm curious. I have had friends who've gotten into snowmobiling. I think you get hecka expensive. Am I wrong, or?
I think gas for a week, if we go one weekend, costs, let's see, I've been on the thing, $10 just for the gas.
Okay.
And on top of that, you need oil, and you need to change parts if you've damaged them by
Right.
a rock or something.
Because you're like going in, I mean, it's the true all-terrain, off-terrain snowmobiling. We're talking about snowmobiling. Just curious in terms of costs and expenses that can incur.
Yeah.
Let alone just like general maintenance, but like,
Yeah, buying the sled's expensive too. My dad got the new 2020 Chaos, which is Polaris, and it's crazy. I think it cost around 12, 13 grand.
right.
Before he did maintenance on it.
Right, and if you get in a weird accident, or which seems inevitable because you're sort of
No, I've hit trees plenty of times. I've had to do body work on my sled.
yeah, exactly. Like you're sort of that's part of it. You know what I mean? As opposed to even a cyclist, you're sort of on road. You're not sort of you're on road most of the time, and so your wear and tear might be a little different and less expensive, if you will. Than
Yeah, so
Yeah.
what damages our sleds the most, since our sleds are meant to go in powder, it's the track itself that gets you to those spots.
got it. So like
Yeah.
if you get messed up going to those spots, then that can get costly.
Yeah,
Okay.
it messes with the suspension.
Okay,
And-
all right. So that's awesome. I'm so glad. Sorry to get like downer on it, like it costs money, but like
It's fine.
I just heard that's cool. Well, good. And assuming you had a good time
Oh yeah.
doing it, very cool.
I had like 8 near misses. It's a spot that was this wide.
8 with I am assuming a
Trees
smile on
and
his
rocks.
face.
Yeah.
8 near misses, like yes. It's
Yeah.
like I like that. That's the good part.
He worked near.
Near, yeah. Okay, all right. Well, living on the edge, if you will. Cool. So I'm glad that you guys did something. I'm just curious. So Walker had a nice turkey bowl, no injuries. Tucker got to go to lovely Florida to have some warmer weather. Some opposite of that, colder weather, but fun in it with snowmobiling. Did I see a hand up here? Anything else? Last thing. Let's see. Connor, don't hold out on me. What'd you do?
I have basketball like every day.
Basketball practice. I'm assuming
Wasn't
you're.
really mandatory, but yeah.
Okay, and that does mean with like not weird, but with the ban sort of being lifted for sports for winter, I'm assuming that's what you're referring to, that you got to go practice basketball here for the school?
Yeah.
Or is it church ball?
No, it's for school.
Okay. Church ball practice every day. We're gonna take the district championship or whatever it is. Okay, so yeah, very nice. And that's going sort of as planned, right? Winter sport.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. All right. Well, knock on wood, that keeps going. I have no clue, right, with the several-day break in terms of where our numbers are. Cache County did come out and sort of affirm what we thought about before is they're very much school open friendly. Like even Ridgeline, which is having their second week of dismissal, they're coming right back when it's done. There's no weird hybrid online or A and B thing. They're coming right back. So that's, I guess, good news. But I haven't heard anything else about, our school for numbers. We hit 15 twice last week, but we still stayed open because they're not seeing the numbers go higher. So there's an update on that. Okay, so I'm glad you guys had a good time for your lovely Thanksgiving break. We have 3 weeks together, and I say 3 weeks, dealing with some housekeeping issues. You guys have that one sheet of notes, which is a nice cheat sheet that can be used, hint, hint, for tests later on. You guys have your guided notes, right? We've covered most, if not all, the Nigerian leaders' names. And so get out those notes. Let's continue on with those leaders. I think, Adele, we left off for the leaders' names here. Did we get, can't remember where we got to in this class. So at the margin, right at the top, you guys wrote down several leaders' names, right? Okay, what was, I know Dexter's like, I'm just catching up. That's okay, that's okay. What was the last leader's name?
We finished Lovasan.
Sorry, what was that?
We finished Lovasan's show.
Okay, awesome. All right. So, thank you very much, Thomas. All right, so we'll cover this guy. I do want to cover, so those of you who were gone or whatever, right in the margin, Giselle's got it perfectly, by where you probably write your own name. There's some space. I would write down these leaders' names, right? We'll get more into detail under the whole section of leaders. We'll give you guided notes, Lindsay, of exactly what to write down and all that. But just to have some name drops so you start to remember their names. We have one Nigerian leader well, hello, Tanner. Good to see you. As you wobble in here from Goblin. Did you have a good break?
What?
Did you have a good break?
Yes.
Very good, sir. So you have a couple bad dudes. Babangida, Abacha, right? They were those bad dictators. You also have Emerson Obasanjo, right? Which was the guy who was Muslim, right? The name itself sounds Muslim, but he also had like the PJs, if you will, on the top of the building. Does that sound familiar, right? And if we don't have him down, this is the next guy. His name is Yar Adjua, okay? Yar Adjua, right there. All right. Again, good sir. Yes, thank you for going to get a mask. But Yar Adjua is the next leader that you're going to write down. Now, before I get into Yar Adjua, and did we already write him down or no? Okay, good. Before we get more into Yar Adjua, I did want to say, some of you heard the district changed when Ridgeline closed. They did change the calendar a bit. If you guys look on the previous calendar, the 21st and 22nd were still going to be in school, right? Right before Christmas break and all of that. Does that make sense? However, the district said, hey, if we can go in dismissal for those 2 days for all schools in the county, then that means that that would give a full 2-week status where nobody would be in school. Does that make sense? So that no matter how bad the numbers are, if in a week the school's on fire with COVID, they can say at least we have 2 weeks coming up. Does that make sense? So they said, this is a new change, the 21st and 22nd, and I know Connor is really excited about this. Yes, 21st and 22nd are still school days, but they are in dismissal days. Does that make sense? Or they will be online. They'll be online. So you will be expected to check in online. Now, I could imagine certain classes go barely anything, if that makes sense, online. We have scheduled, as you look at our lovely syllabus, and on Canvas, we have scheduled the test. The Unit 1 test is on the 22nd of December. So I need you guys to be thinking about this over the next couple days of what do you want to do? Would you rather take that test on the 22nd? And I know Dylan's thinking about this heavily right now already. The 22nd of December, as is currently scheduled, but you'll take it online, right, via Canvas. Or would you rather shift that schedule up sooner and take it whatever it is, the 14th or whatever that day is, sorry. The 18th, right? That last actual day in class. So start thinking about that. Does that make sense of what I'm talking about here? If you guys want to take that online or take it in person. So Gracie, start thinking about what you guys want to do because we have to make a call. Pro to the whole online thing is it's a little bit more time to get ready for the test, right? Con to it is you might just want to say, hey, if I get it done on the 18th and like my World Civ stuff is like done, and Sadie is madly talking about it right now to Eden to make sure that she understands the intricacies of this. There's some pros and cons to it, right? So think about that. If you just want to get it done, but we have a quicker timetable, you get it done on the 18th. Any questions there so far? All right, so we'll figure that out soon. But your Adjoa. Okay, so what's the thing to know about your Adjoa? He was, if you want to write anything down next to his name, he was the first non-military president, right? So those margins text are at the top. We've got certain names written down. Your Adjoa is the name that we have here. He was the first non-military president. Now, Obasanjo, Thomas was like, I'm a president, but I'm military, right? So Adele's fanatical freshman boys who are chasing after her, that remember that whole story again, they might think that they have a girlfriend, but unfortunately that's not the case. Obasanjo may have thought that, hey, I'm like legitimate president, but not really, because he was a military dictator who was elected as president by gunpoint, right? This is our first non-military president, and that is your Adjoa. Now, by the name and the dress here, for some points, what religion do you think your Adjoa was? Muslim, yeah, by the name, very good, and by the attire, right? We see here that it's not as decorative or embellished. It's definitely more for reverence for Allah, etc. So this is your Adjoa. All right. And Tanner's just making sure he understands everything from
Yeah,
Khan.
they're just telling me about this guy.
Okay, so your Adjoa, he is the first non-military president. That's what you guys want to write down if you have anything down by his name. That's something important. This is 2007, guys, and I want to make this very clear. By the time that many of you are, what, 2, 3, 4, something like that, right? I mean, by that time, even you guys have been born. Nigeria finally rolls around to having democracy. Think of that for a second. So in 2007, in your lifetime, Nigeria, the most populated country of all of Africa, finally says, democracy might be a good thing. Like, let your brain wrap around that. So if any time, Adele, you're looking at Nigeria and be like, why are they so messed up? And why do they have like poo water running through the streets and stuff? This is why they only have a democratically elected president in 2007. Like, that's why. Okay, so that's just important to understand. Okay, so we have your Adjoa. The next guy, if this is working here. Aha! Yes. He okay, so you say he looks like a cowboy. So right off the bat, in terms of his dress, we talked about this before. What religion do you think? Christian or Muslim? Christian, meaning by tradition they might wear sort of a head covering, right? More to prevent lice or bugs or whatever like that out of tradition. But also sort of like, hey, I'm stylish. So he's got the lovely hat. So he is Christian. Anybody know his name? He was the guy, your Adjoa dies for natural causes, not being assassinated. He dies. As you can tell, he looks a little jaundicey already. I'll say not too healthy there. He dies from organ failure 3 years into his term, and then this guy takes over. Does anybody know this lovely individual's name? Yes, Carson. Not Buhari. Nope. No, I know it's written up here. I get it. It's like, okay. But I didn't write his name up because it's a definitely Christian Southern Nigeria sounding name.
Malcolm X.
Not just Malcolm X. Oh, not Malcolm X. Any other thoughts?
I got a lot of thoughts, but
I appreciate your filtering of those thoughts.
Yes.
Any other guesses? No? I thought I'd mentioned his name before. I know several of you took the book here as well. Good Luck Jonathan. That's his name. His first name is Good Luck, and his last name is Jonathan. Like, legitimately, his first name is Good Luck, and his last name is Jonathan. So he serves right after Yar'adua dies. Now, some of you might be like, the name sounds so weird. Remember the South? It's like, hey, Christianity and slavery. So, Good Luck Jonathan. This guy, being Christian, that name ran in the family mainly because England came to colonize. And I think we talked to Ashton last week about how England coming to colonize gives them language, but also slavery and Christianity. This weird, like, yay, unholy trinity, like language, slavery, and Christianity. And part of that is this name resides in his family. So Good Luck is the name that then still sticks with him. Yeah, and I'm not writing it up here. If that's what you're asking about, Dylan, it's pretty easy to spell Good Luck and Jonathan. And he serves. With that said, and you gotta love the little butterflies here, a little more decorative, a little more stylish. Look at that. He serves from about 2011, 2010 rather, the end of Yar'adua's term. He is elected in 2011 to, like, many people's dismay. In fact, if you're travel agent number 2 about political activity that's violent, like, that is going to be what you're looking at. 2011 is a really violent election. He gets elected in 2011, and he serves. He is unexpectedly beaten in the election in 2015. Yes, I'm doing the math correctly. He's unexpectedly beaten in 2015. To everybody's dismay, like, what? And he is replaced by what'd you say, Tanner?
It wasn't me, it was Dylan.
No, it was Dan.
It was definitely Dan.
Yeah, nothing, it doesn't matter.
Did you say John Wilkes Booth?
No.
Jonathan's booth was white, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. And also, I didn't know if you were trying to make that type of statement, like, okay, we're gonna start assassinating people, like, whoo, I don't know, we want to get that racial intensity. Nigeria's got racial intensity enough as is. That's
I'm
not.
not being racial, I was just throwing out names from history.
Okay, all right, just wanna.
Just
Just didn't know if we were making a claim there. Woo. All right. With that said, no, this is not John Wilkes Booth or whatever name you mentioned there. This is actually instead Carson may have already said.
Buhari.
Yeah, Buhari. This is your last leader name that you can write down. Buhari. Okay, so Buhari surprisingly wins in 2015, and the reason, like, what do you want to write down about him? Reformed Hitler?
What about Good Luck Jonathan? What would you write down about him?
Good. I would write, Ashton, I think that's who asked it. I would write down, like, good. In my humble opinion, Tucker, I feel like Good Luck Jonathan was the best president Nigeria's had, all right? He was a good guy. He loses on 2015, and I get why he loses, but this guy you could say is like a reformed Hitler. Now, what I'm trying to say by that is Hitler had the very, like, notable, like, lovely, weird mustache, right? So assuming that he actually didn't commit suicide and die and all that stuff, assuming that, like, he just went into hiding for a couple years in Argentina and then popped back into German politics and he's like, hello, you should elect me, yes. And they're like, why should we elect you? Because I shaved off my mustache. Das ist gut. You're like, no, this is not good. No, you're the same dude. No, I've reformed. I have a new jacket with no mustache. Trust me, this is what Buhari did. Buhari was one of the general dictators in the 80s. Before Babangida and Abacha, this guy was a dictator. He was in full military regalia and he was a military dictator. And he comes back in 2015, he's like, hey, elect me. And they're like, wait a second, you got that huge gap in your teeth. Yeah, just like in the 80s. Yeah, just like in the 80s, you killed tens of thousands of people because you're a military dictator. And he's like, trust me. And like, why are we? Okay, for 10 points. Obviously, third hour's already gone. For 10 points. What threat was so imposing, so terrifying in Nigeria, that people in Nigeria would say, you know, democracy and the whole Yar'Adua, Good Luck Jonathan thing we had going on, we're going to throw that away. And instead, we're going to go with this guy. the reformed Hitler, who isn't wearing a military outfit anymore, so he's better.
He looks like Michael Strahan.
He looks like an emaciated, thinner version of Strahan. Yes, non-football version. I think I can agree with that. But again, don't be fooled by this. Unlike Strahan, he has literally killed tens of thousands of people.
But they both have the gap in their teeth.
Because that's what matters most.
Yes. Absolutely.
Forgetting the tens of thousands that he killed. Okay, all right. I mean, if it helps you kind of remember him, yes. What threat? Why would people be like, yeah, we're gonna vote for him? Thomas?
Because the Middle East. And tension in the Middle East.
So you're sort of lukewarm on something. There is something potentially tied to the Middle East that Nigerians in general are scared out of their minds of, and so they say like, we're going for him, man. Any other thoughts, Thomas?
Extremists.
We've graduated from lukewarm to cozy warm, I guess. That sounds weird. But you're getting a little bit warmer here. Yes, not just Middle East, not just extremists, but what's in Nigeria? And I know Tanner's looking up right now.
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
Okay, that back table, you guys might be the Achilles heel for this class. I'm a little worried about it, to be completely honest. What is the terrorist extremist threat that is unique to Nigeria that other parts of the world maybe don't even have?
We mentioned this.
Is it that group?
It's that group, and it ties in with the suicide bombers, and they took,
I know,
Bunch of girls that got
they
kidnapped.
took the girls.
Boko Haram?
There it is. There it is. I will give you 6 points there of the 10. I mean, I'm trying to be fair, but I had to. I like the bargaining, but I'll give you 6.5. 6.5.
You insulted
One,
the back table and
two,
then we gave you the answer.
3, 4,
What is this?
5. Would you give me the answer if I didn't insult the back table?
Maybe not.
Yeah. Okay.
You call
I
it
will
six
give
points.
you 6.5.
What? There's half points?
Nice.
Sure,
That's half a point, and then it'll just be a whole point.
There it is. Yeah, we'll sort of round it up. But it's on principle. I'll give you 6.5, and that's it. So, those of you who aren't or who weren't here, Lindsay and Dexter, we're doing the point thing in terms of competition with third hour for participation. Answers given. Hopefully, I know some of you did check out textbooks, reading it to then answer it, and that can get you some points. So yes, back table. We appreciate it. You're right on.
You're
Boko
welcome.
Haram.
And
People were so upset and terrified of Boko Haram that they elect this guy. And Connor, you had something else to say?
Yeah, did the point thing reset?
Oh, I cleaned it up, meaning that both of you had 4 rows of points
Oh.
again, right? Just so that you can see like who is in the lead, if that makes sense.
Sorry.
Right? No, that's a good question. That is worth, dare I say, half a point. We'll take that.
Oh, no, I wanted to win by half a point.
You just want us to keep
That
to
would
keep
be
that half
awesome.
the whole time. I
I
don't know
think it
about
should be
that.
worth 1.5. Is that
I'll think about it. I'll think about it. All right. So, the idea though is Buhari's elected, this reformed Hitler, because as Tanner were both sort of thinking, wait, the kidnapped, the extremists, the group, it's that group of Boko Haram, right? That they were so extreme that in 2015 they had to declare 5 to 6 states up north in Nigeria in a state of emergency. Like they had been taken over literally by these warlords. And so Buhari, they're sort of, yeah, Tanner?
I thought there was another group also that like kidnapped the girls.
That's Boko Haram.
Okay.
That is that group. But if you've been doing the reading, there is another group that for travel agent number 3 about the South, there's another group that has been blowing up pipelines, kidnapping oil workers to try to get their way, but not for religious means, more just because of money. But we haven't talked about them yet.
Okay.
So that there is another group, yeah. So that group, Boko Haram, was so bad that Dylan, they elect this guy. Yes, gap-toothed guy. Yes, reformed dictator Hitler dude. And I think we can sort of see, you want to fight fire with fire. I don't want to use the basketball analogy here, but this could work. There was a team, there's a team in Weber County about 8 years ago that had a kid on it who went on to play for University of Utah. He played, well, he was in the supplemental draft for NBA. Anyway, he was legitimately like one-man wrecking crew, okay? He was an amazing center. He was the reason why this team won every game Weber County got to the playoffs, right? They were in the quarterfinals for state playoffs for this is 5A at the time. He then gets dinged for substance abuse, okay? Smoking the devil's lettuce, okay? And he gets dinged for it, right? And so then he can't participate in 2 playoff games. So it's quarterfinals and semifinals. Does that make sense? So then Thomas, for the final, they limped through quarterfinals and semifinals, but barely. I mean, skin of their teeth. So in the final game, the school had to make the call. Do we endorse this kid's behavior and say, yeah, substance abuse is cool as long as you win, and have him play, therefore you can win the state championship? Or Danley, do you say like, no, we're gonna take a stand and say like, we will be okay with losing if it means that we're helping people understand what matters most? You guys get that?
Yeah. They chose winning.
What do you think the school did?
They chose winning.
They chose winning.
Yeah.
They chose winning. And also you can make the claim that, hey, kids make mistakes and you want to give them the opportunity. There's an argument you can make. But people in the community were like, what? They chose winning. Nigeria chose winning. This guy, maybe not the substance abuse issue, but had a checkered past. They chose winning here because they want to get rid of Boko Haram. And I will say this, to be completely honest, I feel that he is a douche, but he helped save the country. Boko Haram has more or less gone away, and that's a good thing. Does that make sense? So like they have, maybe it's because of him, maybe the Middle East has gotten less crazy, right? ISIS hasn't been as bad, Thomas. But his power, he gets elected in 2019 again, right? He's reelected. So I guess that's a good call. They chose winning. I like how you said that. Yeah, Matt?
So what was like democracy not doing to get rid of Boko Haram?
Oh, I love how you say that. That's a great question, Mac. What was democracy not doing? Man, I love that. That's a PhD level question, right? Because in government you're looking at methods and results. If the methods are good, then we think the results will be good too, right? We in democracy like to see what's going on in government, right? We like to see transparently if the government's doing recruitment, drafting, are they being shady, are they killing people without telling others about it, right? We want to see that, but in that process, you can see what's going on, but are you getting good results in the end, right? So militarily, Buhari got real shady from 2015 on. He wasn't telling the people what to do, right? He wasn't telling people what they were doing. He wasn't showing them on like nightly news reports like, this is what we're doing in our government, this is our military protocols. He just like was a mobster who was taking care of business. Does that make sense? It's about transparency. That's what democracy wasn't doing. So, good luck, Jonathan. He was very transparent. In fact, we'll talk about ways that he increased democracy. Yay! But he wasn't willing to pull the trigger and be hardcore when he needed to be. Does that make sense? Democracy is sort of more softer. And that's what democracy wasn't doing. That's a great question. Does that help answer your question? The ideal thing is, can we have democracy with some bite to it at times, right? And Jonathan would have said, if you got me reelected, you could have seen that I've been harsher on them or whatever, right? But here's the thing, when you're really, again, I'm going to use a sports analogy here. Mac, you're in a couple sports, right?
Yeah, I'm playing basketball.
Okay, so this is Coach McClure, right? He could take the stance, and certain coaches do this, of being super transparent, that like the captains who are, do you guys have captains for the team?
Not yet.
Not yet, but they'll eventually be voted. Some teams have captains voted in who are actually, it's rare, but a coach would be like, all right, captains, you help form our whole defensive scheme. You figure it out. Let's go on the whiteboard here for 2 hours each week, and we're going to figure out our defensive scheme for the whole season. That's a lot of power, right? But you're very open and transparent. That's very much democracy. Whereas the other way to do it would be, hey, captains are elected, but what do captains do? Nothing. They have like a C on their jersey and they're like, I got elected. You know, because it's more of a symbol thing. And the real dictator would be the coach who dictates what the defensive scheme is and stuff like that, because they're making the calls. In our country, when you have like, we love democracy, but we want to get rid of terrorism, it would be Coach McClure basically saying, okay, very transparently, you captains get to say what we're going to do for our defensive scheme. You have a say in what's going to happen. And then him very openly saying, okay, these guys are all idiots. No, I'm changing the defensive scheme this way. That's democracy, that's openness, right? But the moment you take that power away from the captains, what would the parents all do? How dare you? You've made my child feel this big. Do you guys get what I'm saying there? Democracy, it sounds good, but if you're open about it and then you make some hard calls like President Truman did with the nuclear bomb, then you're killed for it later on, right? So that's where dictators sometimes are nicer because they just make all the rules themselves. It's our response to it that sometimes makes democracy seem poor. Does that help a little bit more? Mac, very good question. Okay, so we have these leaders' names down. Buhari is the current president. You guys, could write down, right, reformed Hitler or current president, any of that. Let's get into, in the notes here under leaders, there are a total of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 total things you're going to write down here in this section on leaders on this front page. So apportion your space accordingly. If you write big or write small or whatever. Be aware of that. And I know you guys might be thinking like, oh, come on, Pierre, this is so juvenile. But I do have lovely pictures that I use for the notes. One year I didn't do it and the end of level testing was atrocious. So somehow, if it's gap in the teeth thing, Connor, if that's going to help you remember these leaders or random pictures of a dead dude or whatever, like, we'll go for it. So there it is. All right, so under leaders, we have 5 things. The first thing you're going to write down is General Babangida. All right, spell it out here, Lindsay. General Babangida ruled from 85 to 93. General Babangida ruled from 85 to 93. And the main thing, okay, so he ruled from 85 to 93. And the main thing to remember about him, okay, for 5 points. If anybody's done any of the reading, I know a couple of you checked out the book. Babangida, he did a couple shady things, but there is one thing that really stood out. It happened in 93. I'll give you that much of a hint. As we have Destin madly looking it up, maybe, and that's okay. That's okay if you're looking it up. That's all right. Anybody know? The main thing to remember about him is that, what was that, Connor? No, okay, that's fine. Is that he going once, going twice. Oh, Gracie, buzzer beater.
Wasn't that he canceled presidential primary?
Yeah, we'll take it. Very good, very good. We're gonna summarize it, Gracie. Buzzer beater, man, that's like a Steph Curry buzzer beater. All right, I will give you guys 5 points. Let's make sure we write it this way. The main thing to remember about him is that he annulled the 1993 election. Annulled. I believe. Make sure we give you the right spelling here for annulled. But the main thing to remember about him is that he annulled the 1993 election. Now you were saying here, Gracie, the idea of him canceling the primaries and stuff like that. Get another L there. Is that he? Sorry. So he ruled from 85 to 93, and the main thing to remember about him is that he annulled the 93 election. Okay, what does it mean to annul something? Forget political, just think in general. You may know what it means to annul something. What was that?
Like, I don't know, it's like a setup.
Like a setup?
Like you said, I don't know.
Okay, can you explain a little more, Daniel? I mean, I think you're onto something, but annul. Tanner?
I think what he's trying to say. Crap, I just forgot. What did you say?
Raid,
A what?
raid, like setup.
A raid. You're
Okay,
saying
so
like a
like-
raid. Got it. Okay.
He had influence on if he got reelected or something like that.
So in general, he's going to try to get influence to win. Yes, Connor?
Isn't it like to cancel, like
Put on hold.
So in general, it put on hold, he's going to try to get influence to set up the election, to rig it so that he gets that's the effect. But unlike you know, you could put in, I don't know, tens of thousands of like fake ballots in the mail and like get elected or whatever like that. Like that's one way to rig an election, okay? But annulling it, as Gracie was saying, is different. This is where you postpone it, you cancel it. So in the term of annulment, for some more points, there was like a famous king in British history who tried to annul many, many marriages. Annul means where you get it canceled, right? So it's even beyond divorce. You could have a marriage in the Catholic Church, like in Catholicism, like you don't get divorced. Like that's a sin. You don't get divorced, right? For most reasons, you don't get divorced. But sometimes in the Catholic Church, you can have what's called an annulment, where maybe because of infidelity or abuse, you can have, in this case, the Pope actually annul it to make it be like, poof, it never even happened. The marriage was annulled. Okay? So then the question is to rig this thing, he doesn't just like even postpone it. He eventually comes out and says, the election never happened to begin with. Poof, gone. Can you imagine if President Trump were to come out November 4th, right? And for him to say, you know, basically, it's done. We're not even going to do the election. All the results that were actually put into place, it's gone. So wait, do we do a redo? No. So do we have it next month? No. Do we just have you president? Yes. That's what he did. Babangida, he came out and he canceled not just the primaries, but all the results of the 93 election so that people couldn't even vote. Now, why was he trying to cancel it? Back what Tanner and what Daniel were saying?
So he could stay president.
So he could stay president, right? So annul means to cancel, get rid of, but it's almost like expunging from your record. Have you guys ever heard of that term where like it's not even, maybe you committed a crime, but then Thomas, you pled in a plea bargain like, I'm going to get out of it by saying where the bodies were. Like that's what the ultimate plea bargain thing of like you give information to the cops and they'll like remove something from your record. That is in a sense annulling where it's not even there. That's how like pervasive their control was, and that was pretty sad. So he annulled the 93 election. Hint on the test of it says like, give some examples of Nigeria decreasing in democracy. Ding, 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 ding. Right? Like Emerson, that's what we're looking for, is that they annulled the 93 election. Okay, he is assassinated. Big surprise. He's killed. Right, that merry-go-round of death, 93. He's assassinated, and another guy takes over. You guys know who he is? That's General. So Babangida has been killed. What? Abacha. Yes, Abacha. So General Abacha. Very good. General Abacha ruled from 93 to 98. 2, 3, 4, 5 for those points. Very good. General Abacha ruled from 93 to 98. And along with Babangida, was one of the worst dictators in Nigeria. Okay, was one of the worst dictators in Nigeria. So Abacha ruled from 93 to 98, and along with Babangida was one of the worst dictators in Nigeria. Yes, Carson?
Wasn't Babangida like the dictator? Like what was his term?
85, 90.
So 85 to 93, right? And I want to make this clear, Carson, I'm glad you asked. I am never going to test you like on specific dates. Does that make sense? The chronology, I think, Maddie, is more important of like, okay, Babangida's first and then Abacha. I'm never going to like test you on hardcore dates in this class. But yes, 85 to 93, I think Connor, whoever said that, that's Babangida. Abacha is from 93 to 98, right? And along with Babangida was one of the worst dictators of Nigeria. Okay, so the question then becomes, Tucker, of like, what makes them so bad? Well, Babangida annulled an election, which is almost unheard of in modern democracies. And they were saying, Tyler, like, we're a democracy too, like BS, like you annulled an election. Okay, but the thing that makes it the worst, and I hope this makes sense, still writing in this second thing, right, the second thing, we've got General Babangida's stuff, now we're on Abacha. You want to keep writing here in the second part that these men stole 2/3. These men, bless you, stole 2/3 of all oil revenue. Okay, so these men stole 2/3 of all oil revenue during the Gulf War. G-U-L-F, not like for, but Gulf War. G-U-L-F, right? Okay, so these men stole 2/3 of all oil revenues during the Gulf War. All right, I got some sleepy kids here a little bit, but and we'll go on break here in a sec. But I just want to help you guys understand what Gulf are we talking about? What Gulf War are we talking about? This is, yes, prior to you being born. I get it, but anybody knows? Some of your parents actually served, especially in the Air Force, in this war, the Gulf War. Sometimes called Desert Shield or Desert Storm. Sound at all familiar? So, anybody know what Gulf? We're not talking about Gulf of Mexico. Like wasn't some like in the 90s some war. Like we're going to Mexico. That's not what we're talking about. I know. So the Gulf War here is referring to Iraq. Okay, the first war in Iraq. That was very short, right? George H.W. Bush, and Destin is deep in thought on this. He carpet bombed that country because Saddam Hussein did some naughty stuff. During this time, the Middle East, Thomas, was rife with conflict, right? The whole peace in the Middle East was not happening then for sure. Where does most of the world get its oil from? Middle East, actually. Europe has some, but Middle East. Most of the world gets it from the Middle East. So, Ashton, if the Middle East is rife with tension, and nobody wants to actually like go there because it's crazy, where are they going to go for oil? Nigeria, right? So in the Gulf War, Mac, Nigeria is rolling in money. It's the equivalent of Chick-fil-A was closed down for what, like 6 months or something like that, right? I know everybody loves Chick-fil-A, it seems. Where did people go if Chick-fil-A was closed? I'm just curious. Where did people go? No, where, what? McDonald's. Okay, so they went to McDonald's. Is it Smithfield? I'm trying to remember. Or one in Logan or whatever. Okay, McDonald's. Is that legitimate where people went instead? Okay, so if they go, Grace, in this case, to McDonald's instead of Chick-fil-A, for those 6 months, you would imagine that McDonald's probably has more business, right, than Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is losing out on business. If the McDonald's franchisee owner was to pocket the money and be corrupt with it, that would make this travesty even more disappointing, right? Because he has all this money and he's still pocketing that. Bob McGee and Abacha took 2/3. Guys, we are talking about hundreds of billions of dollars that they didn't give to the people, Walker. They lined their own pockets with that money. That's what they did. 2/3. They put it into foreign bank accounts. Why is that so significant? Walker?
Then the country can't take it back.
Exactly. So Nigeria, for years since then, has been trying to go to like Switzerland, right? Or Panama, which is another foreign country that has certain countries, their bank accounts, like you go and be like, we need to know where that money is. This is the FBI. And Switzerland will say, no. But we really need to know. No. Please can you? No. Right? Like that's the whole James Bond thing of that's where they hide all their money. So they try to hide it there, and that money has been hid mostly. They've gotten some of it back. The very good Walker, Nigeria cannot get that money back. The people cannot get that money back. All that revenue. McDonald's employees in this analogy can't get any of their paychecks paid still, which is super sad. That's what makes it bad that it was there in their foreign bank accounts. Guys, what do you think they actually spent that money on? I mean, so weapons may have been it. I mean, like, all this money, hundreds of billions of dollars between just two men. I know you're like, well, Bill Gates spends it on stuff. I get it. Carlos Slim spends it on stuff, like some of the wealthiest people in the world. The thing that they spend it on normally, they found out, in no particular order, West Africa and Southeast Asia, the dictators tend to spend money on three unique things. There's other things they spend on cars and land and stuff. But three things stick out a lot. One is yachts. They love yachts, man. They'll get yachts within a yacht within a yacht. Like it's like 3 baby yachts in it. Like they just love yachts. I'm on a boat. Like they love it. They love it. And in no particular order, Snickers. They think Snickers candy bars are like the status symbol for all confectionery sugars. They're like, hey, look, we got some Snickers. Oh, dope, man. Look, you got Snickers. Like they love Snickers. They love it. And it's like, hey, I got a Milky Way. It's a Snickers. Like they think, and the third thing is jeans. Jeans. Now, Southeast Asia and West Africa, they don't have exposure, Tyler, to like, in the US, most people wear A, pants, right? And B, jeans. They think it's the biggest status symbol. So like 80s stonewashed jeans, it's like, oh man, he's eating some Snickers on a yacht wearing jeans. That's the Holy Trinity. I mean, like that's the thing, Selena, that they go and it's crazy, right? It's crazy that works that way. Thomas.
Why Snickers over the variety of candy bars out
I
there?
know, I don't know if they're like, look, Snickers got it all. Forget Three Musketeers and Milky Way, you got that in there? Got a little bit of the peanut from Reese's stuff. It's there. I don't know, like they love that, meaning they buy that the most as a status symbol. And there is a soda that they think is the status symbol. Fanta. Fanta, that's, okay, dang, that's impressive, you know that. Fanta, yes.
No, that's like 10.
That. Dexter, is that you?
Ah.
I love that Dexter's like here for 1 minute. It's like, points! I don't know what they're for, but just put them up there. That was pretty good. Yeah, Fanta. Fanta, my gosh, guys, Southeast Asia, they have the weirdest flavors of Fanta, first of all. But West Africa, they love it. I was at an embassy meeting where they were holding dignitaries in Cambodia for the local State Department, and they had them come in. And so, Mac, they were convinced that they could impress these American diplomats with orange Fanta. And I'm like, no, let's talk about champagne. Can we talk about champagne? A little wine, can we do that? No, Fanta. They had like those highfalutin glasses, right, that you got there. They all had set up. And I was like, I'm telling you, this will not be impressive. And they're like, no, watch. They all come in, they do their sompes, like, Jambripsu, Soksabai. And then they're like, Muna. And then look at our spread. The American diplomats are like, just orange soda. And then they're looking at me and I'm like, I don't know. But orange soda, it is a status symbol. It's like, you're drinking orange soda with the Snickers because it's jeans. Like, why is it? Well, it's maybe more expensive to make and it's a status symbol, I guess. Snickers, it's weirdly confectionery that has more ingredients in it, so that's what's harder about it. Orange soda, it's a weird color. I don't know why. But they spend it on this, so it's so sad. I guess we should laugh at them, but also very sad they stole that much money from the people. Okay, short break. I know we only have like 6 minutes, but a couple minutes. Get up, move around.
I'm pretty sure I got the Fanta off of Wikipedia, and I just ordered
That's
it
so
at my
good,
phone.
man.
I had no idea if I
You're
was
so
right or wrong.
That's awesome. No, it's so true. So true. I'm like, really? Like, Fanta? Like, forget champagne, forget wine. Yes. I will take. Thank you very much, Sadie.
I just kept forgetting. I was sitting in my folder this whole week last week, and I was like, I gotta give it to
No,
him
I
today.
appreciate you getting it to me. Thank you. All right.
So after eating all the Snickers today, you should just start getting really fat.
I don't. Let me put it this way. It seems to me that, you know, as they're eating all of these Snickers. Sure, I'm looking at that right.
They're also swimming on their yachts.
Yeah, so they're burning the calories. It's a win-win. It's definitely more for status, right? It's this status thing of like they have the Snickers, but they're not like gorging on it. If that makes
So how are they
sense.
They
spending
have like a
hundreds of
shit
millions
ton
of
of
dollars on
Snickers that are
Snickers?
like.
That's why I said at the beginning. There are 3 or 4 unique things that they spend it on. Now they're spending these millions and billions on, most of it's just held away in reserves, which is very sad, right? A lot of it's being spent on land and military weapons. I think somebody was mentioning weapons. Yeah, like they do. Those items are the ones that are weird, that like we just scratch our heads on, like, really? Like, they just have a lot of budget for jeans. Jeans, oh my gosh. Stonewashed jeans. So if you have a friend if you have a pen pal, Dexter, from Ghana, and they're like, send me the jeans, and you're like, what? Like, you sort of have a little more understanding that it's a status symbol. Like, you got some jeans.
And they all want Snickers, man.
And like, it's Snickers. It's Snickers. I will say too that in Ukraine, you don't. If they're like, "Hey, we got Snickers," like you don't want to be like, "Sweet, let me get some of that Snickers." Their Snickers is coagulated pork fat that they mix with nuts because it's like it's the same thing. And you're like, I don't.
That's not the same.
That's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. Yeah. So definitely more of a status thing, and they're not buying like millions of it. They're not buying Mars Candy Company or whoever makes Snickers.
It's just like they eat a Snickers every once in a while while they're on the news.
Yeah. I mean, it's like for their corrupt colleagues, you know, the League of Evil Brotherhood Mutants or whatever meet together and like they eat Snickers and drink Fanta or something. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I will tell you this. You guys don't need to write this down, but there was a weird thing that. What's the right way to say this? For when Abacha dies, he doesn't die from getting assassinated, right? Tucker, he dies from natural causes, and when he dies, like the people like run out in the streets and like, oh no, 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 like they're so happy because they're like yelling in the streets and they're saying it's a coup from heaven, right? What's a coup? What
That's
is
a game. There's a game called Coup.
So coup, C-O-U, yeah, like there's this term that you hear about. What is a coup d'etat or a coup? Anybody know?
The sound Kevin makes.
Ty. All right, that's pretty bad, but I'll give you a point on that. Yes, it is. Tyler, you had your hand up as well.
Isn't it like overthrowing the government?
Exactly. A coup d'etat is French for blows to the state, like hits, punches to the state. So that means that you want to take over, like you want to take this government over. They're used to having coups where like, I want the power. You're dead. I take the power, right? Like we have seen that in Nigeria. It's almost as if God was like, dude, you suck, and like he's dead. Like that's the idea, and the people were so happy when he died. They thought it was a coup from heaven, not from other people, but like God Himself was like, "You suck." That's how happy the people were when he died. All right, I'll show you guys a quick clip. So that'll do it for notes. We'll cover notes just with that much for today. I'll show you a quick clip